good singers, love the Lord in their definition of love, but we're not here to live by, under our own accord. We're here to demonstrate the power of God. When you start demonstrating the power of God, what you're living is going to be better. You got to love the idiocy of Facebook. All the people talking about their sickness, all the Christians talking about their sicknesses and diseases and how they feel. Who cares how you feel? The Word of God says you're healed. The Word of God says you've got power. The Word of God says you can overcome this. We've got to understand who we are and stop dwelling on the problems. In this life, you're going to have issues. It's a fallen world. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them all. Thank you, whoever said that. You've got to understand whatever you're going through, there is a deliverance in this because I got power over it and God's going to take me through so that He can show and manifest Himself in it. Now, I know, this is a lot easier to preach than live. Because once you step out of the sanctuary and step into the world and you're fighting demons on every level and things are going on that seems to be out of your control, you feel like, well, what can I do? You've got the power of God inside of you. There's no limit to what you can do if we'll allow God to use us in that way. Church is not about here. This is the sales meeting, if you will. If you've ever been in a sales environment, you have a sales meeting at the beginning of the week, pump everybody up, encourage them, get them back on track. They may have gone through a tough week last week, but we're beyond that week. We're going to go out there and we're going to sell and we're going to do this and we're going to accomplish that. You come in here to get revived, to encourage one another, to build each other up, to get refocused. Yes, I can do this. The church is supposed to be out there. The church is supposed to be affecting the business element, the education element, but the church is laying dormant. Go to Luke chapter 4. I tell you what, we've got so many, I look at it in myself, we've got so many walls built up in our minds of what we can and can't do, of who we are and what we aren't and all this kind of stuff. I tell you what, at some point we just got to throw it all away and step out and say, no, I'm going to be who you created me to be. Tammy, she was, her testimony is she talked about, she went to college in St. George, Utah. She lived up near Logan, Utah, which is Logan is near Idaho, and St. George is near Nevada, down at the bottom of the state. And she was kind of on the shy side, or whatever, up there. And she thought, well, when I go to college down there, nobody knows me. I'm going to just stop being shy. Because they're just going to respond to however I respond down there. And so with just a decision, she stepped out of the boundaries of the wall of shyness and said, I'm just going to be somebody different. Why don't we do that with God? Amen. I've been a loser my whole life. I think I'll stop today. I've been a manic depressive my whole life. I think I'm going to stop today. I've never accomplished anything in my life. I think I'm going to stop today. And I'm just going to be what God told me to be. What God said I am. I'm just going to start being it. I'm going to operate from that level. See, we've got to change this dynamic. Luke chapter 4, verse 14, and Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. So Jesus came back. This is after his 40 days of testing in the wilderness and so on and so forth. He came back in the power of the Spirit. We should leave here today in the power of the Spirit. Amen. If you got the Spirit of God inside of you, you got the power of God inside of you. Why don't we leave here with the mindset, I'm going to live according to the power, not according to whatever's going on in the world. And when he returned in the power, there went a fame that went out of him. Let me translate the word fame because we kind of think of like famous people. A noise went out about who he was and what he was doing. Do you know that people should be talking about you? Not because of the dumb thing you did, because of the way you overcame. Yes. The way you demonstrated power. The way when obstacles come towards you, they don't move you. There should be noise about you if you've got the Spirit of God. If you're born again, there is a deposit inside of you. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7 again. We have this treasure, this deposit of great wealth. Now, in John chapter 7, it comes back and says, out of our belly shall flow rivers of living water. Where's it going to come out? It's going to come out of that deposit. But if you never step into and allow that deposit to be released, you're just going to live in you. And can I help you? You don't impress us. Now, God's impressible. When you allow God to manifest through you, now you're on a place where somebody's going to talk about what you're doing, what you're saying. So many Christians saying they believe in God, Jesus is Lord, and sing great songs about Him, and then all they do is talk negative and strife and things that are going wrong and just dwell on all the problems. There's problems. This is a fallen world. There are problems. There are issues. I'm not denying that. The COVID-19, it can make you sick. Not as bad as what most people are talking about, 98% recovery rate, and typically those with weakened immunes are the ones that become subject. But it has the power to make you sick. Unless you have the power that won't allow it to make you sick. We have power over things.